Hi everyone, this is me, Robert, and today I'm doing a vlog about the JLPT. So the JLPT, or also known as the Nihongo Noroku Shiken, is a test that evaluates an individual's ability to comprehend Japanese, written and spoken Japanese. It's divided into 5 levels currently, N5 being the easiest and N1 being the most difficult. So it's been around since the 80s. 1984 was the first time the JLPT was held. It was brought upon because there was a need to be able to evaluate foreigners living in Japan and other people trying to work in Japan in terms of how well they can adapt into society. And so that's why the test was made. It used to have 4 levels, now it has 5. So let's get into some of the points of the JLPT. So first of all, what can you do with the JLPT? Well, in a very broad sense, I would say 4 and 5. I've been living in Japan for 3 years, and 4 and 5, N4 and N5, I've never seen anything that says like you need an N4, N5. It's pretty much something just to like let you know that you're getting a little bit better at Japanese, I would say. But there's no real work criteria or anything that needs you to have N4, N5. N3, I'll occasionally see that. Like N3 will be like, you can speak a pretty good amount of Japanese, you might be useful in this office, we might need you, and there's a couple other things that have come up with N3 with me. One being, I was gonna move into an apartment, and they needed some proof that I could speak some Japanese. I had my N3 thing that said, I've taken N3 before, and I passed. And they're like, oh, okay, so you can speak some Japanese. But that's not really official or anything like that. So N2. N2 is commonly referred to as business level in terms of job applications and what have you. N1, in the most basic sense, is what you would call fluent. Fluent in Japanese. I don't think anyone who really understands Japanese language and is a foreign national believes in that, because I know that even people who I know who are N1, unless they've lived here for a really, really, really long time, they still are not fluent to the degree that a native Japanese speaker would be. However, N1 is a very important thing because it can be used for lots of different things in Japan other than jobs. Like, I'll read a couple examples right here. N1 can be used to satisfy the Japanese language ability criterion under the point-based preferential immigration treatment system for highly skilled professionals. Announced by the Japanese government in 2012, it also is it is also possible to use the business Japanese proficiency or a foreign university degree with a major in Japanese for this purpose. So that's really funny that it says that, because I have a foreign degree in Japanese. I don't have an N1. And they're kind of like equating those on the same things, but I will say this right away, that a BA in Japanese and N1 are totally different. I have lots of friends who graduated from with me at San Francisco State University and in the Japanese program, and only 2 out of like 40 or so have N1. So it's very different. I think it's a much higher level to be at N1. Some of the other things that N1 can be used for. N1 is a prerequisite for foreign medical professionals who wish to take examinations to be licensed in Japan, and for certain foreign nationals who wish to attend nursing school in Japan. So, once again, in terms of medical things like that, it's very important to be able to communicate with not only your staff, but all the materials that are being brought your way, so I can totally understand that. And another one, foreign nationals who have passed either the N1 or N2 are exempt from the Japanese language section of the middle school equivalency examination, which is required in order to enter a Japanese high school if the applicant did not graduate from a Japanese middle school. So it's proof, once again, that you can use Japanese on an effective basis, and perhaps in a high school if you didn't go to a Japanese middle school or something like that. And last example. So N1 is sometimes accepted in lieu of the examination for Japanese university admission for foreign students who wish to study at Japanese universities. Sorry, I got a little frogging through it right there. But yeah, the N1 is very important. N2 is also pretty important. I would say the N2 can get you some pretty decent jobs that you're still going to have to really prove yourself and have some experience. N1 can open some doors for you if you're living in Japan. And it's not easy. It's not easy at all. I'm studying for N2 right now, and I've been studying Japanese for a long time. I would say in the last few years I haven't been studying as hard as I should have, but, you know, things come up. So what is the test broken up into if you've never taken the test? Well, I have a few examples here. So this is a book that actually has all the different parts of the test in here. And so you'll have sections where it will have several different words, and you have to choose the correct reading for it. So be able to read several different types of kanji. And the next one would be, there'll be sentences that are opened up with certain grammatical points in there. You have to choose the best grammatical point, which would make sense in that sentence. Then you go into reading, and in terms of reading comprehension. So you'll read a few paragraphs and answer what was this person thinking, and or stuff like that. Or perhaps, you know, they'll have something where it'll be like sono, and then it'll be sono to you know what nandatta, so that. And he's like, so what did that refer to in that sentence? That's a really common question in the JLPT. And the last is listening. Now for me, being someone who's living in Japan, listening is by far the easiest. And it was for me on the N3 as well. But on the N2, I'm taking all these practice tests. That's where I'm banking on my score. Because on my other parts of there, I'm okay. I'm getting, you know, a passing score. But on my listening parts of it, it's way higher. And I think that's the case for a lot of people. Because, you know, it depends if you live in Japan or if you don't. If you're studying a whole bunch outside of Japan and, you know, reading is your strong point, then you could be totally different from me. Or perhaps you're Chinese and you're living somewhere else and you can read a lot of kanji and that's your strong point, then you'd be totally different. So, this is the test for that. All these tests, there's 3 different ones in here that I can practice with. This is a great book that I got. So again, there's Bunpo. This is another book I got. This breaks down tons of grammatical structures that you need to know. There's tons. Look at this. This is all on grammatical structures. How many pages is this? Over about 200 pages of just grammatical structures that you need to know. And there's just so many, and there are a lot of ones that are really similar, so studying those is to your best benefit. And of course there's kanji, and so you have books to get you up to the level of kanji you need to be at to be able to comprehend the reading passages in the test. Now I would say that even if you can't read all of the kanji inside of the reading parts of it, it's okay. A lot of people have told me, and even my Japanese friends, when I'm reading a newspaper, sometimes I can't read a kanji, a specific kanji. But by, you know, comparing it to the rest of the article, I can, you know, infer that this means that. And it's true. What was I reading the other day? I was reading something and I was like, I wonder what this means. And then, like, and it was a really specific term. I believe it was heredity. And, like, you know, that's a kind of random thing to, like, jump to the conclusion that, yeah, this is probably heredity. But I was right. And I think that just comes with being able to understand Japanese as a whole. So, very interesting thing. And ooh, chokai, that's listening. That is by far the easiest, so I wouldn't freak out about that. And my last book I used was just this one. And this is my favorite series that I use for the JLPT, and this is Jitsuryoku Up, so real power up. So I would highly recommend that. So let's get into some of the other things about it. So like I said, there's reading and listening, and how is this test scored? So for all the tests, there's a total of 180 points. 180 points. And for N1, you have to get a total of 100 points. For N2, you have to get 90, N3, 95, N4, 90, N5, 80. Those are all passing scores. However, in those individual points, you have to get a certain amount of points. You can't, like, get nothing on the reading and then, like, bolster it up with 2 other parts. You have to have a certain amount. And so for N1, the language and knowledge, vocabulary, and grammar, you have to get 19 points, and same with reading and listening. That's for N1 through N3, that's all this case. You have to get 19 points in vocabulary, grammar, reading, and listening. And so, yeah, and there's a total of 60 points available for all of them, of course, because it's 180 points. For N4 and N5, the reading and language knowledge are put into one thing. You have to get 38 points for that, and listening you have to get 19 points, and same with N5. So, that breaks down everything I really wanted to say about it. Well, my camera was kind of sliding while I was doing that, just like put on my desk because I'm being really lazy. But I just wanted to talk about that. I'm taking the test on Sunday in Sendai, so I'm going to be going from Hokkaido to Aomori to Iwate to Miyagi Prefecture and taking the test there. And hopefully I'm going to do a little afterthought video and then my results. So we'll see if I fail or if I pass. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a nice day.